2663. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Thanks for tuning in, folks, on this fine Monday. It's a pleasure to be back with all of you. We got a bit of a show for you. Happy to be here. So welcome, everybody. Let me welcome all the folks here in the chat coming in here to watch the show. Appreciate all of you showing the major decorum and civility in these times of chaos, folks. Once again, we thank you. Appreciate the decorum. What does that mean? That means you're coming in and you're showing some civility here, like you're a person, like you're breathing, but you're not just like an animal. You're saying hello. You're clicking the like button. You're like walking in like an animal. It's like, what are you gonna do? Stab somebody in the neck, or like do some weird, terrible things? Okay, look, that's graphic. Okay, we just started. We just got here, folks. That's pretty graphic. Welcome everybody. How you doing? Appreciate you tuning in. We'll be getting into a couple of things. You know, Charlie Kirk is definitely the thing. A few more things on that, if I may. And something I am gathering here. You guys got to help me out. If it's just me, I'm going to need your help. You know, I see what I see, but maybe there's some characterization. Maybe you know how we see things wrong. I'll tell you where I think I see things wrong, and then you'll maybe help me. Because it's like, it's weird, folks. And I know it's like all this conspiracy was talked about over Kirk over the weekend and all that. The mind went wild. You know, one thought came to mind. It's like, what will change? What's going to change? I think absolutely nothing. It's terrible to say, but I don't know if it's terrible to say. It's just the truth, I think. And so the mind went nuts and the conspiracies were going around. I don't. We love them. They're sometimes in the audience. They call. We love them. We love them. They're pretty smart sometimes. And they've maybe proven right in some times. And it's like, okay, talk about the conspiracies. But, yeah, what can I say? It's not something that don't pay attention or do. It's just, right. I definitely don't go into it. It's just easy for me. But when I saw some of what I saw, I'm like, whoa, what is going on? Where's the green screen? I'm talking about Charlie's what's seeming like a very valuable event for people. It's sick to say. Charlie's death has been, I think, quite valuable to some. I think some are seeing I think the opportunity, call it opportunity. Some people see this opportunity anyways. I want to get into some of that. I want to get into that and a number of other things. So welcome to the show. You can call in. That's 888-775-3773. Got something on your mind? Something you want to say, please? You'll see this number on the screen. If you're so kind. Don't be rude. Okay. Welcome. Yes, thank you, Albert. Smash that like button. Don't be rude. Thank you, Becca. How you doing, Meanie? Jupiter, Steven. How you doing, Nugget Man? Meanie, Thor. Welcome, everybody. Rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. We're live. Punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. We're live. I'm not stalling. You're stalling. I'm not stalling. You're stalling. If you were watching the video, you would see me. If you're just listening, you would know, you would think he's not stalling. So thank you. Punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. What else can I say? Welcome. We'll take your calls about anything you're thinking, Charlie, and all that, and all that. Okay. But welcome. Okay, that's everybody. Listen. What can I say? I guess kind of open up with this. Erica Kirk a little bit. Okay. You may have seen the speech. You may have seen it on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. You may have heard his commentary. And all that. And so I don't know if anybody saw the speech, Erica Kirk. And I'm not going to necessarily play it here. But, I had seen it go across social media like it was happening. I didn't initially watch it. But, someone then asked me, did I watch it? And I had it, so I went and watched it. Journalism, whatever. I saw it, and I gotta say, I had to temper my first thoughts and feelings. It was when I started watching it. It's this is what I mean. You got to temper yourself. That's where like some of what I say is maybe exaggerated because I don't know, right? I don't know. This I know that at least. But the first thing I wrote, I went on my Discord. And I wrote out, I got to say, these if situations, if I was, dead? Charles assassinated? What a terrible thing, right? But I'm like, if I had a wife and it was a simple situation, I think I'd rather my wife be so grief-stricken she just stays silent. Doesn't say anything. Or, maybe she can say something, but that was my initial thinking. It seemed wrong. It seemed wrong, but it was within this realm of initially it was like, okay, it was Christian-y and they're caring about the viewers. It was terrible news. It happened so fast and the viewers are left without a show or whatever. I don't really know the exact timing when they went out and did this. But if you didn't know, she went on the Charlie Kirk show, without Charlie. His chair empty and she's standing, and she gives this speech, like a 15-minute speech. She says a number of things about Charlie and what he loved and Jesus and the organization, and a lot about Charlie or her. What can I say? That's how I took it. Tell me. That's how I took it. She's like, first thing she said, his favorite Bible verse. Is his favorite. Maybe it is. Maybe it was. Look, this is why I'm telling you where I know what I don't know. But I'm honest. Look, maybe it's really his favorite Bible verse, but she's like, his favorite Bible verse is the one about the wife, about laying down your life to your wife, and he laid down his life for me and the nation. And then she goes into like a TPUSA ad. It's like, so make sure you're at the luncheon and sign up December. We want to see you there. Charlie will be there. Little iPads. Now I'm like looking at this. I'm literally like this. I'm watching this. I'm like, no way. And so that's why not to take this too seriously because exaggeration, right? I'm exaggerated watching this, so it's probably not everything I'm thinking. But it was strange. Okay, it seemed. stranger even more later when she went all over social media, like these images and videos of her kneeling next to this casket. And that it's Charlie's body. It's Charlie's body. You see his hands all looking strange color. I've never seen a dead body like embalmed and all that, but I have to assume it's some process here, right? They call it what? The embalming process. Formaldehyde hands? I don't know. He got the body there, and she's bent. She's like, she's crying. She's like rubbing his hands. I'm like, man, this is. Tell me, folks, am I just a little too squeamish? I'm thinking it's sick. Have I already characterized this enough for you in your minds? Are you enough of an individual to tell me the truth? Examine yourself. It was a little strange, and again, it's an emotional, spiritual thing I'm commenting on because it's strange. I heard that over the weekend. You go to church, you're listening to Jesse, and he's like, leave space. You're like, yeah, Jesse, leave space. But, it's really weird, man. It's just really weird. And I'm not saying you can't have questions. I'm thinking about conversations I just had. I'm not even thinking of that. But, to say I'm going to leave space, but, this is really strange. It looks like a professional hit, Jesse. I mean, that's like a professional with a rifle. Like, professional? I've heard a couple of people say that, and I asked those people, have you ever shot a gun? They're like, no. It's a professional job. It's a rifle and a roof, 200 yards. I don't even know the real distance and all that, but like it's a professional. I'm not saying you can't have the question, but, we just got done with church. You're like, I'm going to leave space. I'm going to leave space. I will. But that's a professional, right? It's like, I think I said this Friday. I don't know about professional or not and all that. I'll tell you this. I shot a 308. First time I shot it. I've already said this to you. Did I say it here? Or did I do it on the Friday stream? Not important. I mean, look, I shot this 308 rifle. It didn't feel comfortable. I'll tell you that. I mean, I've seen how you shoot one. My buddy gave me a little intro. He's like, okay, hold it, point it, pull the trigger. He's a safe guy. And it didn't feel exactly comfortable. I'm like, okay, I get it. I put it up here. I've seen video games. Let me line up the little thing. It's a target that was like this little tiny little target. Ding! Hit it first try. I shoot a bunch more. I gotta say, I don't know, a bunch of those shots, I got 60, 70%. It wasn't that hard. Now, handgun, that is a whole different beast. I don't know how, I don't even get that. It's 25-meter target. I'm like missing everything. It's crazy. Anyways, look, I'm talking about the mind a little bit. Conspiracies went there. So when I say it's weird, like for example, I know is this today? I know that Derek was showing me this. VP Vance hosts the Charlie Kirk show as memorial for conservative. And look, I think I want to get the imagery. Hold on. Because I'm looking at this and I'm not thinking necessarily. I'm not thinking, look, it looks like they have Stephen Miller on it. They're live right now, I think. I don't know if this is live, but as you can see, J.D. Vance here, longtime friend of Charlie Kirk, says he's here on the Charlie Kirk show. And I look at this and I think, well, it makes sense. I mean, the VP, I was just watching a clip where he's saying, I think in this very appearance, that he thanks Charlie Kirk, partly becoming vice president. He thanks Charlie Kirk for that. And I don't exactly know why he said that. I only have assumptions to answer that question. Like, okay, Charlie Kirk just supported him. Kirk was out there and active. I don't know how deep their relationship goes, essentially, but because I've heard people tell me about Vance's history, so I just don't know. But whatever. So when I look at it, I think, yeah, I mean, the event happened, and they want to go and do this memorial thing. So that's not really the weird part for me. Even the wife is not like going up. It has its place in reality, so to speak. But this is what I'm getting at. It's his. Why does it have to be his show? Why does it? I understand that there's a reasonable answer to that, but as this continues and it's like, let's have more Charlie Kirk shows without Charlie Kirk. I know that there were some co-hosts, I believe. So It's not entirely strange, but it's like they really want to. They have the empty chair. They want to keep this going. The wife was like, "We got to keep this going. You don't know what you woke up." People are like, "This people who would never even really watch Charlie. They're like, wow, this has activated me more than ever. We're with Charlie's movement more than ever. I get that it might change some things, like personally for me. Well, let me not do that. Let me not get distracted. Look, they're going at that. She's like, we're going to get this going more than ever, forever. The fire you started. You know, Charlie Kirk's death is looking real valuable to some people. And I'm gathering this kind of, it's kind of sick. It's kind of, for the prevailing conversation right now, which is the left is such a vicious and disgusting and all that. You know, we're all mud buddies. I think we're all mud buddies. Look at this. I've seen all sorts of stuff like this. These idiots just elevated Charlie Kirk to the level of MLK. They just made him a martyr, historic. I've seen this everywhere. MLK. They're making him into a MLK figure, and if you don't see how, I want to attempt to explain why that's kind of strange and sick, because they're just commemorating him, right? But the reason MLK was elevated in that same way was to use him. I mean, what has MLK's name been used for all this time? To perpetuate this lie that I think I've heard through Jesse, Chado, Jackson. I trust those. They've shown some pretty good proof, I got to say, that they've perpetuated a lie in his death, but that he stood on really in his life too. This lie that you're being held down by forces outside of you, that are racism and oppression. MLK was like that. And so you understand, like, they a martyr for this movement. I'm like, I sit here thinking, I can't I sit here trying to answer this question of, well, what movement? What's the big movement? Conservatism? TPUSA? I didn't watch Charlie like that. I didn't know him. I've seen all these clips lately, people sending me stuff, and I'm like, I really didn't know him. I had opinions about him, but I really did not know him. I didn't think about it that much. But, I really did not, I had not seen him with his own words. Everything they've brought up about what he said about Black Pilot, everything they've brought up, if you watch it, it's mischaracterized in the worst way. And so I didn't watch him like that. But from what I've seen and the impact he's had on people, the impact is being an example. You know what I'm saying? Like, movement. We got to keep a movement going. No, Kirk was an example from what I gather. And that was the movement. That was like, and then there's all this stuff around it, I'm sure. I don't know him, but if you'd ask him. So whatever. It's like, I'm left thinking, what's the movement? Conservatism? It's like, what's all that? I see he's pretty valuable in his death. What else do I want to say about this? They're calling it powerful speech on. Those are some good clips on the JLP show. People coming out and saying it was so powerful. I watched it as a wife, as a mother. If it's not as deep as like Erica Kirk and these others putting on a skin suit and smearing the blood of Charlie Kirk, right? Getting on their hands metaphorically to keep a movement going. If it's not like that, then at the least it's without Charlie there. The power vacuum is filled by women, overtly or subjectively, right? I saw this as a wife, as a mother. It's over with that, So that was some of the reactions. Okay, I'm not going to show you the casket. Okay, and the formaldehyde hands, and I don't know what the heck. But, they're posting it like Charlie Kirk just posted this heartbreaking. And I look at that, I'm like, nothing is going to change. Wow, this is terrible. Well, not in the way people think. So what else about this? I mean, look, I guess now I'll ask y'all, like, am I on? am I on this? Like, Is this a weird skin suit like Charlie Kirk's empty chair, his name on the bottom, Chiron. Let's keep it going forever. What? How did Charlie Kirk change you and affect you to do this movement? Right? Like, I don't know. Maybe they should be allowed to keep it the same name. I don't know, but it's just can a Glizza speak frankly here? You know, speaking of Frank Zappa. Anybody get into Frank Zappa? I never got into Frank Zappa. I had a buddy who was into Captain Beefheart, the more shamanic, like mystical top hat wearing kind of version, like Zappa. Maybe not like Zappa at all. Zappa heads out there might be cringing, recoiling. I don't know. These are musicians for those that don't know. Kind of on the older side. An era gone, maybe. But Frank Zappa, mustachioed, Marx looking like, and by that I mean what? Groucho? Whatever. Frank Zappa, you guys might know some of his music. This guy, you know, he has an interesting song. It's titled Rhyming Man, okay? And I'm showing this because it's a bit of like, what? American history, music history. It's thematic. You're about to find out in a moment here why it fits what we're talking about. But in no way am I expressing any validity to the following claims about history that are coming up, right? Like about Jesse Jackson and the civil rights movement. But he has this song called Rhyming Man, and it's kind of interesting. Rhyming Man, tall and tan, rhyme or reason, play your hand, rhyme on this, rhyme on that. Oh, you naughty Democrat. He's a political guy, you know, Frank Zappa. I don't know if you guys knew him. He's like, makes this political, it was like edgy political stuff. So, pretty smart, I think, I gather. They say when Dr. King got shot, Jesse hatched an evil plot, dipped his hands in the doctor's blood and rubbed his shirt like playing with mud, looked round for all the press and said, check me out, my name is Jess. I'll be known from towns and farms. Dr. King died in my arms. So it's just a song he made, you know. I don't know where they get these claims from, I gotta say, of the civil rights guy, Jesse Jackson, and you know, I mean, MLK, you're familiar with the assassination of MLK, right? He died. He was there, apparently. And the claims, I'll say this, the people who say this don't like him. Okay, not everybody, but, you know, when you don't like somebody, you might exaggerate, you might say lies. But anyways, the story goes that, you know, that he went out of his way to get MLK's blood on his shirt. And, you know, that was a bit of a credit. That was a bit of like a you know, street cred, so to speak. Keep the movement going. Keep it alive, right? Keep it. You don't know what you started. You don't know what you started. But anyways, yeah. It's a weird one. It's a weird one, like musically speaking. Can I even play some of this? It's definitely a strange one. Rhyming Man. And I don't think I can play anymore, but in the middle of every stanza or line, it's like the song totally changes. It's like a different song. So anyways, let's get to some calls. 888-775-3773. What's chat saying? I asked the question and I didn't look. Skin suit vibes, or is that just me? Nick got Zappa hair. Yeah. Hey, Valhalla is the name of a witness protection program. Okay. Anyways. Charlie Kirk rolling in his grave being compared to MLK. Yeah, that's chat. Mud buddies. You get it? It's left and right. They call it left and right. Look how nasty the left is. But everybody trying to get Charlie's blood on their hands as fast as they can. Some pretty vicious. All right, that's enough of me reacting to chat. How you doing, Lucas? We got Lucas, California on the air. Appreciate your call. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Nick? How you doing?
All is well, man. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I wanted to talk about this Charlie Kirk, like how people are acting angry, crying, all that, sad, and it reminds me of, like, people don't understand about, walking through the shadow, the valley, the shadow of death, and I wanted to say my meaning of that, my personal meaning. I mean, anybody can take it that way, but people are seeing this, the demons inside of them. They don't realize that they are seeing the evil inside of them. That's why they're crying and angry, making it about themselves. And they're trying to use him. They're not going through it. They need to go through it, and they need to start reflecting on themselves. Why am I crying? Why am I acting like this? Why am I... This person has nothing to do with me or anything. I have, my own life to live, but you need to die first to live, and they are scared to die, and that's why they don't realize that they're crying and angry and mad, because they are seeing the evil inside of them. What do you think about that?
I mean, you're saying that people are overreacting essentially to, the evil people, right? You're talking about the people who are sad about Charlie, right? Crying and overreacting.
Yes, but mainly, what do you think about the valley, going through the valley of shadow of death that it says in the Bible? What do you think? What's your take on that? What does it mean to you?
That's a good question. I don't know when's the last time I thought about this. Going through the valley of the shadow of death.
Nobody thinks it's... Nobody,
say again?
Yeah. And nobody does, and that's what I'm seeing. That people are going through right now, but they are scared and angry and mad and crying because they don't realize that they're actually reflecting, and they don't want to. They don't want to look at themselves. That's what's going on.
I don't know when I've thought. That's a good question, I have to say, and. I gather, it's something spiritual for sure.
You have to answer now. No, but
inside.
Yeah, no.
So
I'm just a caller.
No. I'm answering your question about what you think. What you asked me, what I think the Valley of Shadow of Death. I'm just saying, I think it's spiritual. I think it's inside, and I thought it was a good question because I hadn't thought about this. I don't remember the last time I thought about this, and so that's kind of my answer. What do you think? What do you say? Yeah. What your thoughts on the Valley? What is the Valley of the Shadow of Death?
Yeah, it's people that are there's something that is causing them to feel, but they're using an excuse because they're scared to go through it and die because they're seeing themselves, they're reflecting on themselves, but they're trying to make it about someone else, even though it's them, and they don't want to admit that, and so they don't want to go through. They're scared to go through it. So they don't go through it, and then they never live.
Interesting, man. That's interesting, Lucas. The Valley of the Shadow of Death.
Okay.
I mean, it's all about you, what's going on with you. And it's definitely been in a big event that people are definitely reacting to. It's all spiritual, even though it's a physical event you're watching through screens. But it really is spiritual. So what did you think about, were you affected, saddened, or anything at all about Charlie, the responses, etc.?
No, I didn't know he was dead, but then I found out he was dead, and I didn't have no crying, no sad, nothing like that. But I started reflecting on myself. Instead of making it about, him and everything, I started saying, okay, what the feelings? I started reflecting on myself. Why am I feeling this way? But people keep doing that. And then I started seeing, so then I worked on myself, boom, I'm settled. And then I started seeing everything else. And then I started understanding more of the world. And that helped me. And I love everybody. This you could clip it. This is going to sound bad, but I love the people that, said ill to Charlie Kirk and all that. I love them all. But I started reflecting on myself, and I think that's what people need to do, because it's crazy like that. But I also find a light in it. I made a joke about it too, that Elon Musk needs to get to work, and our first cyborg. He needs to make our first cyborg.
You mean
have
I'm not following.
CK2.
Oh, you mean turn him into a cyborg, or his remains, or a copy of him?
Yeah, CK2, Charlie Kirk 2. Yeah, make him.
That is some futuristic, strange stuff, man.
Elon Musk could do it.
I think we can let him rest in peace. That would definitely be some you know what I'm saying? Did you think about the soul aspect here?
It's a joke.
And I'm messing around too. I know, but suddenly CK2. It was like cool at first, but then it's like, oh wait, the revival aspect. Like bringing AI dead people back. It suddenly becomes icky again.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, now it feels like we're trying to revive somebody. It's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's all I want to say is that people are.
Were you surprised at all by the response?
How people are acting?
The public reacting to Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, and I'm glad Jesse made the point too.
You said yes, you're surprised?
About him getting killed, was I surprised, or how
how people reacted to it?
No. I was not surprised. I knew there was going to be vigils. I knew there was going to be people crying, and I knew because I used to go to rallies and stuff like that back in the day. The same people, they're just making it about themselves, of course, but I like how Jesse made the point how they're all about God and Jesus, and then all of a sudden someone says F Charlie Kirk, and then they beat him up, or they start fighting, and
they forgot about Jesus real fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and and also he made also about his wife too, because it is true. Whenever they're crying, they're lying. All right, we don't have to say she. Even Jesse said, he's like, it should be he says it's everyone. When they're crying, they're lying, and that's also something I was reflecting on myself too. I'm like, because I want it to be like, this chick is literally gonna, and nobody knew Erica till Charlie died. Nobody knew who Erica Kirk was at all. I mean, I did it.
Well, it turns out she has like a podcast. She has like she has like a home podcast, like a business, and she's like a busy gal, from what I gather.
That's something else. But yeah, I mean, I'm not. I just wanted to say that whoever can hear, I mean, just people need to reflect why if they are tripping about Charlie Kirk, why are they? They need to look at themselves instead of making it about someone else and making it about you.
Fair enough.
Like Charlie Kirk is an excuse to act the way they're acting.
Well, fair enough, Lucas. Can you call me again?
All right, man. Yeah, for sure, dude. I love calling your show, man.
Right on, man. Well, take care, man.
All right. Later.
Man. The man can't. A lot of man's there. Man, hey, guy. Hey, buddy. All right. Let's see what y'all saying. I want to get back to calls here. 888-775-3773. I want to get back to all of you. I want to check on everybody here. How you doing, Rimfire? Daniel, Mildew, the peeps over there on rumble.com/American Anchor, baby. They are here. They've made themselves, and they've announced their presence. They're not animals. Okay? Let's see here. I want to get to these coffees from Eric, man. I appreciate these. Eric on buymeacoffee.com/Anchor, baby. A way you can support. I think this one came in somewhere there at the end on Friday. So I wanted to get to you, Eric. But you make a comment on South Park. Okay, he says last month South Park helped fuel hatred against Kirk, depicting him as espousing offensive viewpoints at campus debates. The show suggested that Kirk's public persona is characterized by provocative and at times hypocritical far-right commentary. What are your thoughts on South Park not touching Joe Biden's weekend at Bernie's presidency while they go after Charlie Kirk and depict Trump in bed with Satan? I'm not familiar with the South Park thing, but it seems like that's what people do. I mean, aren't they liberals? Aren't they like, who are this? Matt Stone, Trey Parker? Aren't they a couple of liberals? Right? And, they're like, they've had biting commentary, right? They're against the SJWs and woke sometimes. And it's like, whoa, they're so right wing. No, they're not. They're like, aren't they like Hollywood liberals? I mean, no biggie. No, I think it's fine. Whatever. You can still make something funny. And look, you're saying that's why, basically, because they're not, because that's how they see the world. It's like people see the world in their belief. They think they're right. That girl that you saw in that TikTok that Hake played, I was going to play that too. And she's like, hey, she was encouraging some indescript viewer who might be a shooter, saying, encouraging them, and I'll get to calls here. I appreciate that. Encouraging them to go out and commit some terrible act against someone she hates. I forget who. And she's like encouraging them and telling them how she'll send them steamy letters in prison and something like that. They think they're right. They think they're right when these guys depict Trump in bed with Satan. They think they're saying the truth and they're depicting something true and they're right. And I think it's a case by case thing. What I'm getting at now is, the question of are people inciting violence? When does content go to inciting violence? When the Democrats keep calling people fascists and the liberals keep putting Trump in bed with Satan, at some point, when do you blame them for, violence and all this? I think you can't really answer. First of all, there's far too much of blaming people for someone else's actions. Let's start there. He supported the Second Amendment. And so, they say this about Charlie Kirk. Oh, he supported the Second Amendment. So here was the guns being used. You were fine with guns. So a gun got used on you. So I shouldn't feel bad. They're saying, there's some saying he deserved that death because he supported guns. So does Mamdani deserve, should something befall him? And I don't wish such a thing to happen. But should something happen to Zoran Mamdani, should we say, well, he deserved it because, some criminal act happened to him because he wants to defund the cops and he thinks the prisons, he has some creative thoughts about prisons. So should a criminal hurt him? Does he deserve it? You can even say intellectually, like, wow, isn't that ironic? You're supporting the very thing that's going to hurt you, and then here it is, it does. But then, you wouldn't say you deserve it. You're happy about it. So, starting there, blaming people for someone else's actions, the Second Amendment, and Charlie Kirk didn't ask that person to shoot him, right? It's like, you start there, and then be a normal person. Take every moment individually as it's happening, right? Someone, South Park depicting Trump in bed with Satan can just be South Park doing a funny. And then just because they did that doesn't mean now we need the law and Congress to come up with a law and the bill that will stop this from ever happening. I'm already seeing these TikTok young girls, politically active young girls. It's like, stop. And they're like, please send this, make sure this gets to the president. I voted for him 3 times. It's like, all right, nice. But, don't worry your pretty little head, because she's like, I vote, make sure this gets to the president. We need a bill that'll, something about like going after CNN and the big media companies for all the lies they put out. I don't know, there might be something there, but again, it seems like this it's like a desperation move of a people that doesn't know what to do. We need just a blanket, right? A blanket crude law against all the media companies. Like we're losing the plot here, I think. So yeah, so whatever. South Park. What else here? Thank you, Eric. More. I think that's all the coffees. I want to get to all super chats and all that in a moment here. We got a number of calls and all that. I want to get to all of you. It's just I mentioned the fascist thing and all that. This inciting violence. When does it become right? When does it become inciting violence? Well, I think there's a clear definition of that, and so that's fine. I know that stuff like this is being shared, trying to show dangerous to this how they're inciting, how the Democrats, the left is inciting, and they're definitely. And so I'll say this quickly. I'll let you watch it here, but you know, that's why I like Jesse Lee Peterson, man. That's why I like the clear understanding of the world. It's like these Democrats are inciting violence. It's like, no, inciting violence is to say, hey, do this, right? What they're doing is promoting anger, which is evil, right? That's purely evil. And you can charge them for that, and you could say they're wrong for that. But you know, we've come to a point where people don't even see anger as evil, right? And so you see how lost the world is and asleep. And with that, I don't know, let that go in one ear out the other, let it temper you.
One has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core.
Hey, let me shut down the city! We are at war!
We're at a war right now.
We are at war.
So you have to be willing to do
the music,
whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
And that's why the gloves are off.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
And yes, there are many threats to democracy. We see it with these extreme candidates.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
It gets pretty spicy. I gotta say, it gets pretty spicy there sometimes. I mean, go on. And so, anyways, it is kind of a very pernicious lie, right? To keep saying these people who are voting, and you know, they went to the Capitol because they were like, hey, we want this to be on the up and up, are like our Democrat, right, anti-democracy operatives, you know. So that's what else can I say? I mean, I know. Why did I bring this up? I was thinking about that language. They're saying, well, he supported the Second Amendment, and so this is what you get. I mean, isn't that so down low? It shows no love, right? You'd have to ask the simple, basic, take it back to school basics question: would you want that happening to you? And you see in that moment, wow, there's no love. It's like, would you want, because you supported XYZ, defund the cops, would you want to be hurt and then the world justify it? Be like, well, you deserved it. All right, let me get to calls here.
And I'm not going to play the video. I don't want
to. Since it's here in my segment, in my little notes. Okay, let's tie it up with a bow. I had this clip for y'all. Oh yeah, that's right. Jen Psaki, isn't that Jen Psaki? Former lady there with Biden, right? Press secretary. Biden White House press secretary.
But he put out a 4-minute video, and I'm not going to play the video. I don't want to play the video. But there was a line at the end that I think I just wanted to raise and read. At the end of this 4-minute video, he says, for years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. And obviously, there's a lot of rhetoric that is problematic. A lot of it is coming from one particular side and from one particular building. But what can be done? I fear when this is an escalation already in less than 24 hours of this shooting.
Yeah, I think historically presidents have looked for opportunities to bring people together. Mm-hmm. You know, right now we need a president that'll bring the country together and not try to further divide us.
Anyways, I'm sure I had this clip here to spawn some of the comments I already said. But there you go, folks. Rhetoric. It's rhetoric. And whose rhetoric? Right, whose rhetoric is worse? And then the right is saying, well, they're full on, they're inciting violence. Let's bring in the law. It's like, go calm it down. I think you could describe this quite accurately. They're inciting anger, and they're evil for that, and all that, etc. Let's keep it moving here. I got a couple calls I want to get to. William, number 7. How you doing? California, on the air.
Hey there. Can you hear me okay?
William, coming in clear. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Hey, so I am not trying to be critical, even though it may seem that way. But the last caller, I'm thinking people are projecting about what's going on. In other words, we all have our own backgrounds and experiences, and then when we react and we either go to a vigil or we laugh about it or say he deserved it or this is an outrage. I think what we're seeing is actually people projecting how they feel, where we should actually reflect on the inside and seeing, well, because that's what kind of Jesse and y'all are all about peace and the kingdom of God is from within. And you're only going to do that by reflecting on what's in you and not, because you can only change yourself and nobody else. So that's kind of my take on it. And I don't know, what do you think about that?
Well, first I'd say I would totally believe it that's happening, and I would believe it because that's how human nature is. And I gotta say, I've seen some of that myself. Yeah. And then my next question, I guess, would be, what projection are you talking about? Is there something that comes to mind, or what do you have in mind?
Well, no.
What do you have in mind?
I think that's...
What am I projecting on?
I have nothing in mind. No, all people, like what we're seeing is people projecting. Yeah, remember, projecting comes from the inward and comes out.
That's right.
Reflecting is when you look in. So everything we're watching on the phones and the media and the TV, well, I mean, it's a projection. They used to be called projection TVs. But anyway, I digress.
No, totally. Yeah, so, is there any examples you come to mind of how you're seeing this projecting playing out? With
I'm just going by what. So you guys were playing some stuff, and I did when I was waiting between shows, taking you. This other, I don't know who he is, but another thing came up on my YouTube, and he was showing how people all around the earth, both China, South Korea, on how they were, and these Polish people were doing some kind of dance, aggressive chant for Charlie Kirk, and they seemed angry, but they were all supposedly coming together and said this, and what happens? I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see for sure. Like Jesse says, we'll just have to wait and see. But that's all. I just kind of wanted to, because I even had a best friend say that before he realized he died, he said that kind of got what he deserved because he's an agitator. And I ran into people personally in my little small hometown said the same thing. So I don't know.
That's I don't think that's like a mischaracter. Agitator. He went in like debated people. And he had them come to him. He had an open forum during which it may have gotten heated, and maybe he got it to his ego. But that's already a mischaracterization. Like, he is an agitator, so when you agitate, you might agitate what, a sniper rifle, like.
Yeah, I think that's gaslighting. Like I said, I thought when you take the Greek word gnosis, I thought it was when people come together civilly and in peace and discuss the finer points of just philosophies and how to be, I would imagine, how we live this life better. They certainly don't talk a lot about spiritual stuff in most universities unless it's actually categorized as a Christian or whatever kind of religion. But other than that, then it's divorced of that, and then people kind of act like animals. Yeah, it's me.
And so that informs...
Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, it just informs me in a certain way. It informs me that if someone is so lowly informed about the situation that they hear about this and the first thing it's like, well, you're an agitator, and so this happens, not knowing that he had an open forum and all that, and just that's how he operated. When does a person react like that? When they are basically, in my opinion, like hiding intent. You say, well, when you give like a quick response like that, and so what does that tell me? It tells me what a lot of people are hiding, and they may not even know it themselves is murderous intent. We're not murderous intent, but like, yeah, something akin to that. Because you're saying, wow, I heard about Charlie dying. My first reaction inside is glee, and someone just asked me about it in the real world, and I'm going to try and justify that glee, right? That's kind of what it informs me about people.
Yeah, I believe even the word says that God does not about the destruction of the evil. He doesn't want that. He doesn't, and we're told not to be excited and get a thrill over it, because then we wind up becoming, like Jesse says, what we hate. We actually didn't become the very thing that we were so strongly against. So yeah, it's definitely not peaceful. This is, I think it is by design. I mean, I don't know who's design, but I just see people getting all in a mess over all this, and I don't see how that's going to help our situation, by getting everybody excited and on one side of the fence or the other, and kind of like the Hatfield versus McCoys. I don't know, so I don't know.
Quick thoughts on
it's
the
a
wife?
Sad state of affairs.
Quick thoughts on the wife and all that?
I can't have no thoughts. I have not. I heard about a speech she gave,
okay,
and I heard people claim on the earlier one saying it's seen. A lot of people said it's seen rehearsed, and it probably was, maybe. But I have not seen it myself,
all right,
so I cannot.
No problem at all.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll let you go. I'm going to get back on the road. But
thanks, William.
My call.
Call me again, sir.
Peace out. Yes, sir.
888-775-3773. I'm going to keep the calls moving here, keep that going. But what else? Yeah, we'll get to all of you. Thank you for that. I'm getting right back to calls and super chats. If you're a man who has a relationship with a trans woman, you are in a heterosexual relationship because she is a woman and you are a man. Wow. Biting political and cultural commentary by a verified X account, Brian Krasen. You remember these guys, the Krasenstein brothers? I've just seen them on X, and they went viral because they were, rubbing everybody the wrong way. The conservatives, right? They're just posting the most, just the most wild things. Like anyways, I was going to try and come up with an example, but people are going to think that Brian said that. But look, I'm just trying to express that this guy, I think he knows what he's doing. I think he knows how to get the goat of the conservatives and get millions of views. But anyways, I think he knows what he's doing. That is a real comment, though, from the verified Krasenstein here about all this commentary that was going around the shooter, this Tyler Robinson individual. I got to say, side note real fast, conspiracies abound, and there are people doubting the veracity of the shooting itself. And I must put this forth. Like, I haven't heard anybody say this. I'm not commenting on that. I'm just saying, isn't this a fair logic? If you're going to question the veracity, like the truth of this shooting even happening, right? That the main story that it was this individual who was angry, Kirk was coming to school, he's like, okay, I'm going to kill him. If you question that main story, you're like, no, this is something else. Then Tyler Robinson must not be real, right? But must be like a planted, and his family's planted. Like, you'd have to make a big claims, right? So I don't know. Just temper your mind, people. So where was I? Yeah, there was this talk about, well, what's the idea with this guy? Is he trans? Is he LGBT? There's this talk about him being in a relationship with somebody, this individual. And this Lance Twiggs individual, that they're romantic together. I mean, those are the allegations. I just don't know. And so, I mean, there's people liking this one. I know that I think he's trolling people, but there are people who are retweeting this and saying, yeah, this is a great point. So don't tell us that this is some trans LGBT shooting, because that's a heterosexual relationship. What the? I'm getting trolled, right? Let me get to David, Seattle, Washington. How you doing, David?
Hi, I'm doing well. That's actually very funny. Heterosexual relationship. I just wanted to share my favorite saying ever. Comes from Andrew Jackson, who was president of the United States in like the late 1820s, early 1830s. And he was supposed to have said to his cabinet at some time when they were facing some crisis or other, gentlemen, what we must not do is we must not take the counsel of our fears. I came across that saying a long time ago, and I have to say, reflecting on it, every time I've taken the counsel of my fears in my own life, I have screwed up badly. And so I think it's good advice now, because there's a lot of emotional statements going around, on both sides of the issue, and I don't know what people are afraid of. Are they afraid of civil war? Or are they afraid that, the Nazis are going to take over now? Are they afraid that the communists are going to take over? Well, whatever you're afraid of probably isn't going to happen. And probably whatever you're thinking about doing in reaction would just make things worse. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that.
That is an amazing quote, man. Yeah, never take counsel of your fears. And that's so deep, because this fear has driven these sides you're talking about and this scenario you're describing into deeper trenches of insanity that they didn't have to go down. Because think about, for example, some of the more basic fears these sides you describe are having. The simple fear of just saying their mind and speaking to each other. What is that driving? That is motivating further obsession and murderous intent for some, but definitely anger and division. There's complete misunderstanding. There's people full on commenting on Kirk, on things he never said, in ways he never said it, and people have made full worldviews, murderous worldviews for some, out of it. And fear drives it. Fear drives this. While it really, Andrew Jackson's quote here, I wasn't familiar with it. It really does make me think about the thoughts, the warning of doubting all thoughts. That's what he's telling you there. That there's not a single fear or a single thought you had with those emotions and the fear and the confusion that has brought a single good advice or counsel or anything.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I like that one.
Yeah, well, when I've taken the counsel of my fears, which I have done from time to time in my life, reflecting back, I realized it would have been much better if I'd simply done nothing at all. So, for what it's worth.
Fair enough. That's interesting. A point, yeah. Well, thanks, David.
All right, thank you. Thank you for taking my call, Nick. I really appreciate it.
Call me again.
Take care.
Nice. 888-775-3773. Right back to calls here in a moment. Appreciate you holding. Let's see here. I wasn't able to find a definitive source confirming that Andrew Jackson ever said a longer quote than "never take counsel of your fears." So it's just that brief phrase attributed to Andrew Jackson. Never take counsel of never take counsel of your fears. All right, T. Let's see here. Let's get to Jermaine. Canada. How you doing, sir? On the air.
Hello.
What's up, Jermaine?
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Welcome.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for taking my call, man.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm calling about that. Well, this just happened 4 hours ago, so Hank and I kind of touch on this, but I want to see your thoughts on this. So this lady, she's a nurse in Jersey. She was, in the area where doctors and nurses are and patients are, and this guy, which is a doctor, he said that Charlie Kirk deserved what he got, and he got it coming to him for what he was saying, pretty much. And the nurse kind of called him out there, like, how can you say this in front of patients and other staff member? Like, and you're a doctor. So it's kind of crazy that she's saying it's kind of crazy that you're saying this, but yet you're a doctor saving lives. And if someone comes in, a politician or a regular person that have these kind of views, are you going to treat them that way or say they deserve to die because they don't have the same value and thought process that you value? But then the craziest thing happened. She went to her manager and she got sent home. She just got sent home for the day, it sounds like. And then the doctor got suspended. But then when she got home, she went on social media and posted about the doctor.
Okay.
And then after that, they suspended her. And now she's on a news report. I forgot what news I saw it on. And she was saying that now she has a lawyer, and she's like, she said if she doesn't get her job back, she's going to sue. So I kind of want to hear your thought. What do you think about that story? Because that's very interesting to me. Right?
So I think I may have found her. I might have to play this because, listening to some of the details, I feel like I may have missed some of that. But let me just say about this being suspended and all that. Sorry, can you tell me again? Was it like the public that got her suspended, or
no?
She said this out loud, and her boss heard it, and her boss was like, "Okay, you got to go." Essentially,
no. So they were at the hospital. She said it out, and then she went to her manager and said, "Just go home for the day. They're going to investigate it." But when she got home, she made a post about the doctor
and
on
what did
social
she say?
media, and then she got suspended. Something along the lines like
she was revealing all the dirty laundry of the goings-ons of this person talked about me, and it's like, now I'm getting investigated.
No, she kind of saying that, listen, how can you be a doctor and you're saying this about a person that doesn't have your point of view?
She's
something along those lines.
Criticizing the anti-Kirk stuff. And she was getting investigated. Then she went home, posted this about it, and you're saying that post possibly made this investigation turn into a suspension.
Yes. Then after she got suspended for it. And now she's saying if she doesn't get her job back, she's going to sue. So it's kind of funny.
Oh, interesting. I don't know what to think about that, man. I don't know what to think.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think she should get her job back, because you're kind of doing the same thing that the doctor did, because the doctor, I mean, you say it at the hospital, which is it's not good, obviously. They might fire him, right? Because you can't be saving lives.
So this individual also might be in trouble for talking about Kirk that way? The one that she was talking about?
Yes.
Oh.
Because he was saying that Kirk deserved to die. He had it coming to him. But then she went home and talked online about the doctor. So it's like, and then she's like, if I don't get back my job, I'm suing him. And then she went in, she already got a lawyer. She went in TV propping up herself to have a great defense, kind of. So I don't think she should get her job back.
She's going on TV, doing like a media thing on it. It's like, just take it to court.
To get people to back her and feel sorry for her.
Just take it to court if you feel that way. But if I had to take my employer to court, I wouldn't even want that job back.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, if I had to sue my employer to give me my job back, I wouldn't even want it back. That's retarded.
Yeah, because they probably have. You're a nurse. Let's say me and you work at the same place, and we have problems, and then I go on social media and talk about it. That's crazy.
Look, regardless of the content, whether it was Kirk or not, I kind of think I'm kind of the thinking of the employer is allowed to kind of see how you are, who you are, and make their decision. So I'm really not even thinking about the content if it was whatever was over. Here's a story of an employee who went and talked about work stuff on their social media, and the employer got a wind of it, and if that was the cause of concern, then so be it. She's going on some crusade about the law. It definitely seems wrong. I don't know. To me, it's like an employee-employer thing. It's between them, and I just don't. I don't. Yeah, I don't have any part in it. It's between them. It's like I give the employer, I don't know, a lot of leeway in that. So that's kind of how I think about it. I know the public right now is going after, like, finding people's social medias, doxing them, and going to their employers. And I've seen quite a bit of news stories about people getting fired, people posting that they got fired or whatever over this, over someone calling their job and informing their employer about their comments about Kirk. And so I just don't know what to think about that. I think the right is just as vicious and all that. I sympathize with the notion of how do I put this, like, not wanting to or having to live, work, and play amongst people you don't want to, but the reality is we do.
We're already doing it.
The reality is just we just are and do. And if that's your situation, that's your reality. I mean, there's nobody other than you who's, in a sense, deciding that reality. So it's like, I want to go live around just people around me who would never talk about Charlie Kirk that way, then I guess do it. I don't know. I'm not trying to talk ish about that. It's just, these are my random thoughts about it. Go ahead. What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't agree with the right just finding people on their posts and then calling their job and getting them fired for it. I don't agree with that because they're doing it out of revenge and hurt and pity. It's like a mom, right? In a way, so it's kind of funny. But let them say what they want to say. Let the job figure it on their own. Like, that's my stand on that when it comes to the social media part of them, of the right going and doxing these people, because you're putting their life in danger too. We don't know if anyone on the right is radicalized. They might go take out someone too. And that's probably just my imagination, but we don't know, right?
Well, you know what? You are dealing with people's personal information. And if someone was willing to do such a thing, that's what they would need. And that's essentially why that's why I want to avoid such a thing. So you're not wrong in at least bringing that up. But interesting points, man. Interesting points.
Yeah, I just think the nurse shouldn't get her job back. I don't think so.
It's up to the employer. I think the employer could,
Yeah, it's up to the employer.
If you're gonna sue, like, it's just crazy. If you gotta sue your employer, it's like, it's over. What do you to get your job back? If I don't get my job back, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a free individual. I thought, right, in America with their business.
Yeah.
Why do you want to work there?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. That was my little take there on that. I appreciate you taking my call and love the show, man. Keep doing your
Jermaine.
thing.
Can you call me again, man?
Of course. We'll chat.
888-775-3773. Plenty calls here. Plenty calls to talk about Kirk and all that. I want to get back to you here. But where were we? I mean, we got through a number of things here. What can I say? I got a couple of links here I saved on the Kirk shooter and shooting and all that. I know that they were, I mean, at this point, are people still trying to push it's a right-winger? It's a right-winger. It was a groiper, a far-right influencer. Like, they were trying to say that this guy was like a groiper, which is a fan, right? A fan follower of Nick Fuentes. Okay, we're familiar with him. But where was it? Yeah, like unlikely team ups. I know I know Nick's pretty critical of this of Matt Walsh at Daily Wire. Unsurprisingly, the left is gearing up to pin this on Nick Fuentes. He names him by claiming the killer was a groyper. Fortunately for them, the claim doesn't fit any of the facts. The killer labeled Kirk a fascist, a term only ever used by the left to insult the right. The idea that he killed Charlie for being not right wing enough. That's what people were saying, that this guy wanted to kill Charlie for not being right wing enough. I mean, if we're going to be making characterizations and implications about stuff we only sort of know, if he's calling them fat, like that's a fair characterization, Matt Walsh, I think. If you're going to do that, right? The guy wrote stuff about fascist, LGBT stuff alleged. Thank you for saying something about this, Matt. Nick responded. Where was I? That's other stuff I had. Links I saved on all this. What else? Oh yeah, they were saying he was saying too much. They were sharing these clips saying that Charlie Kirk was saying too much. Kind of what I was saying earlier about people leaving no space in their minds, right? They're like, he started speaking too much.
If Bibi Netanyahu, if he does something I don't like, and if I criticize it, am I like a bad Christian?
Absolutely not.
What I find strange is that we're able to criticize the American government sometimes in the Christian world with more freedom than the Israeli government. To be pro-Israel means you believe in the nation of Israel, not necessarily the government of Israel. When Joe Biden was president, you and I we loved America, but we detested our government.
The music.
And those
Whoa, bro.
Those two things beautifully coexisted.
Yeah, you never once said, "Hey, I'm out on
America."
On
of
America,
course it was the opposite.
Exactly.
And what they don't want is they don't want to be called bad Christians if they challenge a foreign government, which is what happens so often.
Right.
Like, you're a bad Christian if you have a question about a foreign government.
Right.
That creates backlash that I don't think people understand.
Oh, what? Dude. This is interesting to me because what he's saying is true. Okay. And some you can have these critics. Look, this is the point. Let me just say the point. It shows me how weak most people are. It shows me just how weak people are. Because look, the fact that people are watching this and saying, he was actually based, he was actually saying too much. In fact, so much that they killed him. That, again, let me just express myself freely here. Because I understand that I understand that there are things about, maybe even some of the things he said. There was another clip where he's talking about the ADL and Jews specifically and constantly supporting anti-white stuff, something like that. And I accept that some of that was really bad and like super forbidden and you can get canceled or whatever. But how many of us didn't even know any of that? Look, how am I trying to say this? Look, a lot of us simply just heard that. We heard that the Israel lobby was really right. Even Trump said that was like you couldn't criticize it at one point. You heard about Nick Fuentes getting canceled like crazy and debanked, but you didn't get canceled, right? You weren't there in the trenches of conservatism when you couldn't say these things. And Pat Buchanan, see, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm getting at. If you watched this and thought, wow, this is like stuff I can't say. If you watched that and you're like, wow, I can't say these things. I'm so afraid to say these things. You're afraid. Let me try and express myself a little better. Because I see Kirk as someone who was pro-Israel. And I think he was very explicit about that. I think it was very obvious. I think he loved Israel in the ways he said, in the way he said, like it's like a religious thing, maybe it's cultural, passed down, but he also has he held like what I consider a pretty reasonable thinking about some of the things he said. And here's what I'm getting at: you can say those things, you can feel those, you can think those things and say those things. Because look, there's Charlie saying them, and I don't think he's like anti-Israel. I think he's being sincere here. I think here's what I'm getting at. I think he's a sincere person who's like pro-Israel, maybe normie Christian, whatever. And when confronted with some of these intellectual questions about the nation of Israel versus the government, and why can't you talk about one and the other, and anti-Semitism, I think he spoke very honestly here, and it wasn't controversial because, it didn't piss off Jews, for example, because he's friends, he loves them, and so if you see that and you think, wow, he was getting based and they killed him for it, it shows how fearful and weak you are, because you could just be that person, and let's say I'm expressing myself kind of off the cuff, but might take a few tries. I'll do it. But you essentially, you see how you have to be a weak person to think that, because it's showing that you have a fear, and you know that you can't speak freely and say common sense things. And you have like an idea in your head. Right? It's like, you really think he was anti-Israel and based, like, or something like that? Like, he's saying common sense things that I think common sense people should say, and if they don't, it's because they're afraid and whatever. It's like, maybe hopefully you're gathering some of this. But yeah, you saw that and thought he was changing. He was changing his mind and becoming something different, and it killed him for it. Meanwhile, I saw that. I'm like, I saw someone who was consistent, right? And it's just you who's afraid to be to speak your mind, right? You'll say in the chat right now, Nick, you speak your mind. No, because I think kind of like this. I've been saying that. I've been saying the ADL. I've been saying the Jews, they like to support anti-Christian stuff and all that. Charlie Kirk, we share like that common sense thing there. And then there are viewers who think, well, if you share some of what I just said, you also have to have. I'm really commenting on the fearful public. I just think I'm really commenting on that. Don't you see it that way? If you saw that and think to yourself, wow, that's such a scary, wow, he's saying such scary things, and they're so scary that they'll kill you for it. You're weak, I think. Troy, Los Angeles, how you doing, sir? You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, Nick? You can hear me all right?
Coming in clear, sir.
Beautiful. I hope you're having a good week, man. Appreciate the show.
Man.
Thanks for taking my call.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot of different, I feel like there's a lot of different, like, talking points, but they all kind of come from this one foundation.
I'm losing you a bit, man. Did you go on speaker or something?
No. Let me see. Maybe I'll stay put. Can you hear me good now or no?
That's a little better. Go ahead.
Yeah, like, I think the narrative around the Kirk thing is really interesting.
You went so muffled all of a sudden, man. I hate to do that to you, but it's just not.
I'm gonna switch off this Bluetooth and go just straight phone. Give me 1 second.
I think that's what it is. It would be undoable otherwise. I can't.
How's that?
There it is, clear. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Yeah, it just seems to me like there's a lot of narratives being tossed out with very little evidence so far. And I'm no apologist for certain foreign states, but I feel like this is one of those baby's first red pill things. It's like you see somebody get shot and you go, one of Israel's greatest Christian American advocates was killed by Israel. I just don't understand. Like, there's not much evidence to back that up at this point. Anything can come out, but I don't see how that's relevant. And similarly, the far right fascist group, the Groypers and Nick Fuentes, killed what the left deems a far right fascist guy in Kirk, because they call them both far right fascists. So I don't understand how the left can spin that and say, oh yeah, this guy who was also on the same side of this guy, that's how it went down. And there's no evidence of that. It's conjecture at best. And really, I would say it's just outright lies. I mean, anyone who's aware of the political sphere online or, just in general, it's like, it's really grasping at straws to say this kid, assuming this guy's even the shooter, this guy is a Groyper or a far-right Nick Fuentes type supporter. I just don't understand where that's coming from outside of just political posturing and like positioning. They want to say it enough so that it is true. If we flood the zone with information, well, then that's the information people are going to be pulling on. And when you see these Groyper accusation things, you start clicking down the articles and looking, and it's like a article with no proof citing an article with no proof citing an article with no proof, and you see how the modern era political media game goes.
Yeah, man.
What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know the details of the political game, but I'll say but that is the mind. You are talking about the insane mind. I mean, it's happening to the average person. It's like the public is leaving no space. It's left or right, they'll do it too. But they're going off with these theories and stuff. And it's like you have to they got this guy, Tyler Robinson. They're giving him this name. He's got family. He's got school neighbors. So they're all fake. Have some space. Have some space and just and just leave some space. Why make all the conjecture? And I don't know. It's vicious. I think it's silly.
I do think there's a problem with there's this problem that's growing in the political sphere in general, and it's not right or left. I think it might be how deep into politics you are, whether you're right or left, or somewhere in between, where it does become a form of what I would call, wish casting, where you want so badly for a thing to be true that you just hone in on it and you just say, oh yeah, this, I don't even believe most people paying attention to the situation would consider Charlie Kirk far right. He's like he's basically like a Christian Zionist. So I don't understand why he would be considered far right at all. He's pretty milquetoast in regards to the quote unquote far right. I don't really
maybe
see
to
how
us, but it shows how radical and out of control some are, right? But
well, I mean, I would say.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please. You'd say.
I just think that I think it's very predictable, this type of behavior, when you have, I don't know for how long now. I think it goes back farther than even Trump's first run in 2016, where it was just really, it was mainstreamed more, but you're using verbiage like, we're at war, this is fascism, this is an attack on our democracy, this is an attack on our freedoms. You have people who, trans people are saying, this is life or death for us. If you don't accept us, it's life or death. And I think those kind of things, right? If words are considered violence by either side, then violence will be the answer to words. And if people justify violence based off spoken words, well, now we're at a real impasse. I don't see, and I know people can say, people want to, the left, we shouldn't use the left cancel culture tactics. It's like, but why not? I don't really see a reason why we shouldn't get people fired from their jobs if you feel compelled to. If you go out after someone is publicly executed for political purposes, I mean, that's literal domestic terrorism by the definition of the word. And you're going to, I don't understand where we're at in the world and in politics.
What would be the motivation?
Well, here's the thing. I don't understand why somebody whose employer is in the bio, their name is linked to their social media, and they're going to put their face on camera and dance and smile and laugh and joke about a father, just a guy who's just speaking, being brutally killed. That is almost, I don't know if that's so far. It's such a far off version of the fear you're talking about, where you fear the rhetoric so much that you're completely blinded to the reality of what you should be afraid of, which is your own actions causing real life consequences in your life. Does that make sense?
What would be the purpose? What would be the motivation? What's the motivation?
Motivation for what?
For the calling and getting people fired.
It's war. They spent 10 years, 12 years saying we're at war. It's an ideological war. And that ideological war has become, I know Kirk wanted to keep it a war of words. These people that are acting on these types of polemics, right? They're making it a hot war. It's not like this idea war. They shot the guy in the neck. You know what I mean? At a certain point, you have to look at the difference between a fear that is emotional and a fear that is practical, right? We talk about fear, like you shouldn't be, you were talking about fear earlier with one of your callers, but you know, that Irina girl, she should have been afraid. If she was a little more aware and a little more afraid, she might be alive. She had her guard completely down and she died because of it, just for being a white woman who had her guard down. There is a practicality to fear. And if you fear that your ideas will get you shot in front of your wife and kids, well, I think the best thing you can do is try to put a chilling effect on those types of counter ideas. And I don't see why anyone should hesitate to do that, actually. And this idea that it's hypocritical for the right to do it because they complain when the left did it, I think the time for that conversation is far, far gone past. It's too late for that.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
For better or worse.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
We don't know.
Who's the alleged shooter?
I mean, that's the honest answer.
Let me ask you
know.
this then. Let me ask it this way: Did that XYZ retail worker, restaurant worker, whatever, did they shoot Charlie Kirk? You know, the ones that are getting fired or whatever?
It's not about who. Here's the thing: getting fired isn't the consequence of murder.
No, but the question was, did they shoot Charlie Kirk?
No.
You said because and it does matter because because this is how you put it. You were saying they shot Charlie Kirk. You're talking about who? You're talking about is this is not an idea war, man?
Well, I would say this.
They shot Charlie Kirk, and so
I would say this. Hold on, I would say this. This is clearly, and I think that the facts will only further support this. It's clearly an ideological, political killing. It is a form of political terrorism. That much I am convinced of. Maybe the evidence will prove me wrong and I look like a total idiot, but I am more than certain.
I don't think anybody's questioning that, though. No, I don't think
so. If it's
no one's disagreeing with you on that. The question was,
if it's political,
go ahead.
If it's political, which side do you think that it was? You know, more likely that someone shot Kirk for not being I don't know what the angle is, right? The Groyper accusation angle is he wasn't critical enough.
No, I'm not saying it was Groyper's. I'm saying it looks like a lefty or whatever to me.
That's why I said they, because I'm referring to the political left, which counters his ideas. That's what I'm referring to.
And I somewhat understood that, but I thought it's still important to paint this picture here because you're saying it's not ideological. They shot him, and so, you know, now it's become about these people and getting fired. But it's like I have to ask the question: well, who shot him? It was this individual who shot him, not those people who were doing all those who were doing things that are terrible and all that, and the TikToks and all that. But they didn't shoot Charlie Kirk, right? So that's why I was asking.
But again, I'm not claiming
because your reasoning was because we're at war, and the reason I'm painting this whole picture is because we're supposed to be different. We really are. We're supposed to operate different if we are to call ourselves different, right? We call ourselves different all the time.
But if
we call ourselves Christian and all that.
Someone threatens you and your family with violence, physical violence in the real world, outside of ideas.
Yes.
Aren't we, regardless
Absolutely.
of political ideology, aren't we all called to do the same thing, which is to
Absolutely.
have
to someone threatening your life and your property and your family. But this is what I'm getting.
Do they have to do it directly or indirectly?
You see how it has to be direct, man, because you see how all of this has been absolutely because you're talking about people.
Wars in 2025 are not fought like they were when we fought the Redcoats, and even then.
We're not talking about. We're not talking about a overarching general war that we are in.
You don't think
we're
talking
about you,
war
the
right
individual.
Now,
we're talking about Troy, and why is Troy when Troy is saying, "Hey, aren't we supposed to have these reasonable fears, these practical fears?" I say yes, but to someone threatening your life, it stops becoming practical when you're talking about someone who said something you don't like and you think is particularly nasty, or even hateful. But they're not threatening your life. They're not. There's no practical fear in any of that.
Well, here's the thing. The counterpoint to cancel culture, which is what we're talking about, is that you may not be threatening someone's life with counterculture, but you are threatening their livelihood, their ability to provide for themselves and others that they care about. What I'm saying is would you agree or disagree that we're in an ideological war, and we have been for a while?
Not me.
You don't believe that we're in a war of ideas?
Some people maybe.
I'm speaking as a general public. I'm not speaking in individual terms. There's exceptions to all rules. In a general rule, are we in or not in an ideological war?
I don't know. I don't think
Okay,
so.
that's a fair
I think
answer.
it's
I
just a
don't know.
bunch of people. Yeah, I don't think so. You know, for the sake of look, for the sake of conversation, I want to say, yes, there is an ideological war going on. And I'm not, and I say this, I want to hear your answer, but it's not lacking sincerity for me.
Well, you could just grant it.
understanding
You don't
what
have
you're
to
saying.
concede it.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
You could grant it for the conversation, but not concede the point personally. I totally can accept that, and I appreciate it. But if we're in an ideological war, and let's say, for lack of a better term, I'm going to use colloquial terms, right? Like the right has proceeded over the last 10 years or so to try to engage in this war based on ideas. And to use Kirk as an example, he was probably one of the most shining examples of being pretty middle of the road, not that extreme if we're being honest, probably not extreme at all by a lot of our standards. And he led with ideas and open debate. I was saying this to someone the other day. Consider that we were willing to engage in this ideological war with words and open debate. The guy who pretty much was the representation of wanting to talk it out, they shot him in the neck and killed him in front of his family. And then on top of it, people on that side of the political spectrum went online, showed their faces. This is their choice, right? Showed their faces, linked to accounts with their names and their employers in the bio, and they danced, they sang, they laughed, they mocked, you know. So are there not consequences for their actions? The same way there's consequences for maybe even pushing these ideas. I mean, that's the justification, right? Ha, 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 he deserved to die because he shouldn't have been saying those things. Okay, fair enough. You deserve to get fired. You shouldn't have been saying those things. It's not really an escalation. It's saying, we finally will accept your terms. We're going to play by your rules. You aren't willing to play by the rules we keep setting forth? Fine. Okay, we accept your terms. I'm going to call your boss, and I'm going to have you fired.
This is pretty interesting.
For me, it's like, you know, I just think if everyone is shooting from the trees, you might not want to line up and get shot from the trees. Maybe shoot from the trees, because otherwise you're going to die. And at the end of the day, my goal in this world is to protect the people I love and care about, the people I'm tasked as a man to care about and protect. And these people that are willing to engage in political violence, from content creators who are calling for explicit violence against their political enemies, to people who hear that rhetoric, right? Because I don't think it's a surprise. You call Charlie Kirk a fascist, you say his words are violence, and it will get trans and marginalized communities killed, and then someone who is maybe a little too in their thoughts, like we talk about all the time, they see that opportunity, they go, I'm going to save lives by killing a man in front of his wife and children. And that needs to be avoided. And that needs to be avoided by whatever means, honestly. I mean, at this point, and that might be a little more loaded, but it does seem like cancel culture is a small arm to employ in the face of trying to stop someone from being politically assassinated.
You bring up a really interesting thing, man. And here's how I see it. Because, well, first let me answer there was a question there, and it was like, what do we do? Should they face consequences? These people that are not necessarily saying political violence, but, you know, quasi supporting, etc. And the answer to that, personally, I say maybe. I don't know. Maybe, you know, a lot of cases, etc. But I do want to speak on this. This is quite interesting, because this is how I see the whole, when is this speech inciting violence? When is it? What's the limit? And how do we characterize like this side or that side? And what are they really supporting, and the anger and all that? This is how I see this. It's not I don't think it's a matter of trying to pin down if it's incitement of violence and all that. That's already defined. It's already been defined. It's legally defined, etc. I think we can agree as thinking men, individuals. We don't even need the legal precedent. We could just be like thinking, sane, thinking people. And it's like, okay, if someone incites violence, like they say, hey, do this violent thing, it's like, okay, that's pretty clear. And then we stay there. Now, people are trying to figure out, well, what's the definition? When are they doing this violence thing? This is how I see it. It's not that they've been inciting violence. It's that, for example, let's say you're on the right and you've been looking at the Democrats or the left speak this way for a while. What you've been missing, what the right has been missing, or whatever this hypothetical individual, what they've been missing is not that they've been missing all this incitement of violence. they've just been missing them being very clear about their intentions and how they feel about you and the anger they feel. And the dad, the right, the weak dad has basically been ignoring what the angry mom has been explicitly saying. We don't want to talk to you anymore. You're a fascist. We're not right. We don't want to debate anymore. Is that incitement to violence? Do we need to make new laws and all? No, they've just been very clear. And what has a weak dad been doing? Ignoring it, thinking it's not what she's been saying. She's been very clear. She hates you. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I see it in my mind.
I understand, but I would also say I don't think any, at least from my perspective,
And isn't the dad wrong for allowing that somewhat? That was the last thing. Sorry. And isn't the weak dad in my little scenario kind of playing a big part here?
Well, I think a weak man's going to cause, right? What isn't the saying? Weak man's going to cause the hard time. So, yeah, I could agree with that. I guess something I picked up on from what you're saying is I don't see anyone calling for a change of laws. I think what happened is for the last 10 to 12 years, or maybe even just the last decade, cancel culture was a thing. The right pushed back against it on all these ideological arguments of how it's not something we should be doing, how it's only going to escalate. But no laws were changed to stop it. It's clearly a viable strategy that people are utilizing. And so now it's being employed by an opposing side because they say, okay, this has become a war where people's lives are not only potentially at risk, they're legitimately at risk. We just watched it happen. And I would say that there's a reality to that. You may not engage in cancel culture. I'm not out here doxing people. That's not what I want to do. But do I think that there's any, do I think that people on the left, not even people on the left, how about this? People who are getting canceled for these videos and these reactions. I mean, from what we've seen in the world of the legal system in America, if you want to make the free choice to post yourself, like I said earlier, on an account with your name and your employer and all this stuff, and you make some stupid video that's going to, it's going to antagonize people in a time of a very delicate time, and they want to call your employer has every right. You have every right to post it, right? We have every right to report it, and the employer has every right to act in their best interest. So I'm just saying that's a reality, and this idea that you're going to get the right to stop based on hypocrisy or someone who does, let's say, morally disagree with the left's paradigm, their tactics, is going to be convinced because of, this is hypocritical, you're acting like the left. Do not fall for that. Maybe you're not going to act on that, but I don't think you should fall for this rhetorical trick of saying, we are not like the left. Well, you know what? We're not like the left because we just had one of our people get shot in the neck and killed. And I don't see anyone on the left that's been shot in the neck and killed publicly like that and then have it be, celebrated by conservative Christians. I think that's an important distinction to make. And I think that's why people are saying, the left has been saying forever, the time for talking it out is over. And I just think that if that's what they want to say, it's just the right saying, okay, we finally accept your terms. You've made it very clear you're not going to be reasonable. And I think that, I don't know if that makes it right or wrong. I think that in politics, we are looking at ideological battles and things occur. I don't really know if labeling them right or wrong really has a place right now. It is a necessary condition of the conflict, I think.
That's interesting, man. If I may, you're expressing your thinking here, and I'm just understanding you more. I wasn't even thinking about it in the way you're thinking about strategy and all that, and that is interesting. What you're saying, sincerely, just hearing you say that, it is definitely sincerely interesting. I mean, I didn't see it that way. You're talking about strategy. You're talking about strategy, political survival, etc., or even further than political. So I'm taking it in how you're saying. Let me express, because I'm not even seeing it like that. I'm seeing it about motivations and what's going on inside people, right? That's how I'm seeing it. And so when you tell me about the motivations you told me so far, what have we gathered? The motivations are war, revenge on the right. You told me that yourself. And on the left, it's what? Anger, revenge. And so when you say, the left, don't act like the left, that's just the rhetorical. I have to ask. I'm left with a question. Let me ask you on something we maybe do agree on. Like, do you see anger as evil?
Well, obviously, yeah, we've talked about this before, and I agree anger is evil.
And if I may, real quick,
I'm
done. Yeah. I'm done after this. Is when we see anger as evil, when I look at another individual, let's say we both do it, and I say, well, don't act like that angry person or or someone evil, is that just rhetorical? Is that just simply a rhetorical thing, or is that a self-reflection about how am I truly?
I get what you're saying.
Who am I truly?
I get what you're saying, and I think you and I align completely on what you're saying until it gets out of the realm of rhetoric. Because here's what I would say. I think that anger and fear, these are things that are not only evil, but would you answer this? Do you find that anger, or let's say fear as well, are they not reasonable is not the word I'm looking for. Are they rational or irrational states?
Fear and anger?
Yeah.
Irrational.
They're irrational, right?
Correct.
So what
I'd
is
say
the
irrational.
So what is the real world response? Right? What is a practical response to an irrational person? Is it to play on an equal playing field based on their terms? Or is it to just play for survival? Because here's the thing. I would agree with you until people start shooting political opponents for ideas that are, because here's the thing. Never let it be forgotten. And I've been saying this kind of hit me. It's like they shot the guy who wanted to just talk it out.
I hear you,
Consider
man.
that.
I share a lot. I've shared some of what you're saying and thinking. Again, we're coming at it differently. You're seeing this strategy.
Totally, yeah. I don't think
you're talking about strategy and this political survivability or whatever. And I'm not even thinking about it. I'm thinking about who am I? Who are we truly? And so to me, it's not a rhetorical thing to be like, oh, well, this side is acting angry and evil like the left, right? And even though I don't think left and right, I mean, I don't know. I've been I guess
it's good and evil,
hearing
not left and right.
Hearing my smart callers, my smart callers tell me not to think like that. And so,
yeah,
I mean, it seems silly anyways, like left and right, but so that's what I'm thinking about. That's where I'm coming at it from. What's going on inside people? And if it's not rhetorical for me, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that we agree. I'm saying, let me be clear. I'm saying it is no longer rhetorical because it's become like, the response to the left's challenge, for lack of a better term, it has become a practical matter. It has entered the physical realm and it's become a practical matter where what is the practical answer and solution to fear, right? What is the practical response to a group that says your words are literal violence and it justifies me killing you in the real physical world?
It means protecting yourself. It's not complicated. It doesn't mean going out of your way. It doesn't mean having to figure out if someone might do a crime. It's the same answer as it was before. You got to protect yourself.
I agree.
You got to protect yourself from evil. It could be a drunk driver. It could be anything. And yes,
I agree.
In this political climate, maybe some things are more likely, but the answer remains the same. It's not to go after people. It's not to get angry. It's not to. The answer remains the same. You must protect yourself, protect your property, and et cetera.
I agree.
And I don't get this whole thing about.
Not an angry
and I'm almost done after this.
I
don't even get this whole thing about. But now it's become practical, and now it's like in a temporal place. It's the same to me, man. It's the exact same, and the solution remains the same too.
Well, I think that anger internally and anger acted upon are they have to be differentiated. They may not have a different solution in your opinion, but anger, there's a big difference between me wanting to shoot someone and me shooting someone. You would agree, right?
Yeah, I think. Wait, you said there's a difference between you wanting to shoot someone and actually doing it? Yes. Fair enough. Yeah.
So it's a thought versus an action, right? And we talk about this all the time. The devil can lead you to a cliff, but you have to choose to jump. The thoughts can make you want to shoot, but you have to pull the trigger, right? It is not it starts with a thought, but it's finalized with an action. And so what I'm saying is the left has been playing, they've been playing fast and loose with political speech over the last 10 years. Yeah. And I think that's why you see, again, I'm not
and the right has ignored it. Yeah. They've been clear about
it. And they've taken the high ground for so long that, we're seeing political violence play out in real time on live stream in HD. And that's something that has to be responded to. And I think that, again, with regard to the cancel culture thing, because that's the next question, and I think that a lot of people on the right who are ideologically aligned, we're both probably ideologically aligned more than we're not. The idea of the cancel culture thing being like anger, I disagree. I think we have to be taking part in the rhetorical game.
Well, how do you know that?
Stop people from seeing your words, Jesse's words, Charlie's, whoever, as they're framing them as literal violence that needs to be
And that's
defended
wrong.
against.
But how do you know that cancel culture is not anger or it is anger? How do you know that?
What I'm saying is when cancel culture becomes a practical response to words, right? Here's the thing. Words.
Again, this is what I'm getting
on
at.
the right.
You're thinking of it differently. You're talking about a strategy and all this, and again, you might be understanding me, but we're missing a bit here. And let me just say this: you're thinking strategy. It's like just because the left is doing cancel, just because they're doing it doesn't mean we can't. Doesn't mean it's angry, etc. I'm asking what's motivating it, and if it's revenge and war and all the things you said, I'm not even thinking about am I pro or not against cancel culture. It's all a tool or strategy to me. Like it's all the same to me. I'm thinking about what motivates it. Again, you're like, okay, that's an interesting thing, cool thing you said, Nick. But I'm worried about the strategy here. I'm like, I'm saying the strategy will be informed by the motivation. If it's revenge, then that begets hell. And it's like, well, that's just like very general and easy to say. Where's the strategy? It's like, I'm telling you the strategy. You operate in hell, you operate in revenge, all you will create is going to be broken. That's what I'm saying.
Is it revenge to just let people reveal themselves? Because here's the thing, that's my point.
I don't know the person's heart, but you told me. You told me that you were telling me yourself that the motivations to call these people is war, revenge, etc. That's what you told me.
No. I didn't say that. I said cancel culture can be utilized in a political war because it's
now you're saying that
rhetoric. But what I'm saying is, what is the counter to saying, look, this is not revenge. This is not to an end goal. I'm presenting this person as they present themselves. I'm not twisting it up. Here's who they are.
But why did you do that in the first place? Because you saw some TikTok and you're like, wow, let me get on this and do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not your coworker. It's like, it's like this was in your life.
Again, I don't engage in that behavior, but I can't speak to the motivations of those who do. I can make an assumption. I can make an educated guess, but I would say that when you're not clearly, the left believes they're engaged in some kind of political war, and clearly, the right has been responding with words.
Yeah.
And the left has been responding with physical, with bullets, man. So
and the right has been ignoring it. And this is where we can agree. It's like, I think the left, I think this is where we can agree. It's like they've been clear. They've been saying, you're fascist. We don't want to talk anymore. We're angry at you. We hate you.
Agreed.
They've been saying that. And what's the right been doing? Just, we're the same, ignoring it, or not even, not hearing someone telling you themselves what they are, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where I totally get that. And that's where I'm totally on.
And you are a fascist. So I'm like, my thing is, I don't look at it as revenge. I look at it as, this is how the left framed it too. It's defensive posturing in the war of political ideas. Because now the war of political ideas is becoming physical. It's a hot war. It's not an idea war anymore. Like, again, I keep coming back to this thought I had when it happened. This idea, I realized, they shot the guy whose goal was to just talk it out.
That's right.
And I think that there's something there that has to be acknowledged, at least acknowledged from our ideological standpoint, and potentially addressed. Which I think that utilizing the tactics of the left, it is an addressing of the problem in a certain way. Like I said, go back to thinking of comparing it, to a physical war. If your opponent, if you line up like an honorable army and you line up in lines of two to shoot at your opponent down the field, and they line up in the trees and they pick you off and run away and pick you off and run away, at what point do you change your strategy? And that's all I'm talking about. The left is clear in what their strategy is. I mean, even after this happened, that Hassan Piker is going out saying, do it more, kill more of them.
I've seen some nasty things he's been saying. And
guess what? They're not getting not getting canceled. Their accounts aren't getting taken away. Their sponsorships aren't getting taken away. I ask myself, why is that? I don't really have a practical answer. And they've been doing this for over a decade, and we've seen the fruits that it bears. Literal killing and manifesting in real life. Children without a father, wives without a husband. So there is a practical side to saying we need to employ tactics to have a practical, the fear does take a practical element. It might be fear, but I just think again, you say it, you and I were talking about it. It's like, if for instance, if that girl in Cincinnati on the train, if she was a little more practical in her approach and she had proceeded with a little bit of caution, she may be alive.
You believe that
And so,
getting these people fired will prevent future political
no, I think
shootings?
what it does is it has a chilling effect. And I think that as bad as it is that we have to get to that point, I'm not going to engage in it. I have had that feeling, but knowing what I know as a Christian, as a Catholic, like I have that feeling, and I go, it is not my place to insert myself into this stranger's life I don't know. But I could understand someone else doing it. I don't know if I would agree necessarily, but I could rationalize it as a defensive move, because we have to put a chilling effect on people going on social media and mainstream media and saying these words are violence. These words are violence. These people will kill you with their words. These people, you hear that over and over and over, and you wonder why we got to sleep ourselves.
Wrap it up, Troy.
Totally, man.
I just looking at the time we spent on this, and we definitely had a great.
I know
call
we'll
there.
go forever, man. And
we had a great call there, man. Can you call me again?
Always, man. You have a blessed day. I hope everyone, I will say, this is the last thing I'll say. Nick has the point, like the overarching point is like, do not live in your anger, and do not be blinded by it, right? Do not be blinded by anger, hatred, fear. These things are not in themselves good things or healthy things. So I appreciate you, Nick. I wish you the best, and I hope you have a blessed day.
Very interesting, sir. Super.
All
Come
right,
again.
take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
888-775-3773. Last few minutes of the show. I want to hit up these. Let me see here. What do you got? Let me get to these callers. Let's run through these callers fast who've been waiting patiently. I appreciate it. I want to say thanks to Pablo with a big super chat. Very nice. Says, I'm having a hard time caring about politics. I don't understand anything. I want to focus on my family and check out. Why am I wrong? Who's saying you're wrong? But where's this feeling of checking out coming from? How about this? Try the first thing. Stop caring. And then don't do anything else. Just a suggestion. Tell me what happens. But just simply stop the caring part. And he says, I don't understand anything. I want to focus on my family and check out. Why am I wrong? Well, sir, I don't know who's saying you're wrong. Tell them they got their own life to live, I guess. But, I think about a man and his family, and I don't think of him checking out. I think of him enduring. What can I say, right? I think of the word enduring comes to mind. If there's a word that comes to mind. And what does that mean? That doesn't necessarily mean, I don't think that means you got to be all involved with politics. I'm just talking about that feeling. Whatever that feel, what is that? That's really what I'm talking about. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do with politics, what you should or shouldn't do to understand with your family, etc. I'm just wondering. I'm just left wondering with a little question here, my super chatter, about this feeling about wanting to check out. It's like, what if we just tried something? Let life stay how it is. What you don't understand, the confusing parts, the cool parts, the happy, whatever. Let that stay the same, because you don't know what to do about it, right? Let that stay the same. But the caring and the checking out feelings and all that, just let that go. Let's see what happens. All right. Thank you so much, Pablo. Peter, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Gregatron, right on. I very much appreciate that. How you doing, everybody, on rumble.com/American Anchor, baby. That's all the supporters. You guys are the best. Thank you. I want to get back to my callers. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me get to Jeremiah, who's been waiting patiently. Thank you so much. California, on the air.
Hey, Nick, thank you for taking my call.
For sure.
Hey, I just wanted to say, I want to talk about something you said a while ago. It was how that you talked about how everyone's so or some people, I don't know how many, but they're kind of surprised at what Charlie says. Although he doesn't say much stuff to be surprised about, right? And it reminded me of this conversation I was having with my father. He said that he was talking he was worried because they killed Charlie, and you know he was like such I think they call it a martyr of.
That's right.
A martyr. I don't know how to say like a
Martyr.
martyr.
No, you said it.
Yeah. So he was like, oh, you know, what's gonna happen? What's going on? And I was thinking to myself like, and I told him that, you know, Charlie's not really special. You know, I think what he did and everything. I mean, people look at that, but that's not really, you know, him. You know, the real him. He's just like everyone else. You know, every other man has that capability to go out there and speak. And so, yeah, that's all I wanted to say, pretty much.
You bring up I think you bring up a really cool little thing, man, because I mean, I think you're speaking on the fear of people, and it does make me think about love and what we say is love and how we treat each other, what we say at funerals, because I think about what you just said about the people saying, well, what are we going to do without him? I mean, you didn't exactly say it like that, but now I'm adding to it, you know. There's people saying that. What's the movement going to be like without him? What are we going to do? How are we going to run TPUSA and stuff without him, et cetera? And it makes me think about what you just said. You know, you love and I didn't know him like that, but for the people who were saying they loved him and knew him like that, then love his example, right? Love his example, and do that in your life. It's just a funny thing about love, I guess, because we look at somebody and we say, look at all the things we lose because they're gone. And and it shows our weakness and our iniquity. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. What I was saying was that Charlie wasn't like different compared to other men out there.
Yeah, I'm adding to that.
You know,
we could do what he did. And instead, we're saying, what did we lose with him gone? Instead, we could be saying, let me follow his example.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, yeah. I think that you know, Charlie is just like any other guy out there. He's just like he was blessed by God and had a really nice family, and he did a lot of things with Turning Point, really great things. But I think any other man can do that.
Nice,
we all have it in us, I believe.
Yeah,
and there's always going to be.
It's kind of needed.
There's always going to be another person to stand up. Like you chop one down, but there's always going to be another. You know, you chop Donald Trump down, chop Charlie down, chop anyone down. There's always going to be another person that rises up.
Nice, Jeremiah. I appreciate your commentary on that.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Call me again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Arthur, man, I want to get to you, but we got to go. Okay, you got like seconds. I hate to do this to you, sir. Unless you wanted to save it, you got seconds if you really want to say it today.
I appreciate it. I got a quick question.
Right on.
And just to throw it out there, man, you and Hank are kind of like my own little personal Charlie Kirk as well. Just listening to you guys, man, you guys have inspired me in many ways. But I'll get down to the question. I'm just wondering if you think these leaders nowadays, being what we're clearly seeing going on in the world today, if it's necessary that we do have protection, and I understand not walking around living in fear, but is it smart to maybe bring protection, knowing that, you know, there's pretty much a lot of crazies out there ready and willing to kill us, you know? I was just curious, you know, because seeing this brought to my attention as being such a someone that admires Jesse as well. I couldn't help. I don't know if where this feeling came from, but I had this visual of like, my gosh, this could have been Jesse Lee Peterson. This really could have been anybody. And I just wondered if you think that.
It's reason. Look, it's the motivation. If your motivation is fear and it's crazy, then of course it's wrong. But if it's just reasonable, like, look, this area is getting more dangerous, like, or et cetera.
Right.
That's just reasonable. It's just reasonable to protect yourself. And I know that people were saying that about Bond and all that. And it's like, look, we know, and I know you guys care. And you're not wrong. I'm not trying to admonish you here, but a couple of people have called in to say this, and I did think to myself, you know, maybe it's best I know that, or to just privately say something like that, right? Because it's like a crazy world, and we're speaking it into existence almost by making the possibility even real by uttering it. You know, maybe that's a little too superstitious, honestly.
And no, you know, and that came to my mind too.
We know, let's not have all these calls coming in saying, "Hey guys, time to protect yourselves," and because it's
right.
Are you following me here a little bit?
I totally am. Yeah. And you know what? That's something I thought about too. Thinking it is almost just the same as vocally putting it in the air.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks.
Well, thank you for your call, man. Can you call me again?
Thank you, Nick. I'll make it quick, man. I appreciate it.
That's right. We got to go. Appreciate it, Arthur. All right, folks. That's it. We got to go for real fast. Let me say goodbye. For real now. Bye. See you tomorrow.
The views, information, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this show are the individual's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the JLP Network or Bond. Their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The JLP Network and Bond name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.